You've heard of ambient dreams. Are you ready for ambient computers? Will hardware save us from demanding AI? And AI cracks passwords a quarter mile at a time with family. These stories and much more on today's episode of MSP Dispatch.
This episode is presented by MSP GeekCon 2023, a conference for MSPs by MSPs. Occurring May 21st through the 23rd, 2023 in Orlando, Florida, this two-day event is built around the journey of technical growth from Tier 1 to Tier 3. If you're interested in attending, speaking, or sponsoring the event, visit mspgeekcon.com for more information.
Good morning and welcome to the April 11th episode of MSP Dispatch, your source for news, community events, and commentary in the MSP channel. I'm Ray Orsini, joined as always by my co-host, Mr. Tony Francisco. How you doing, Tony?
Good, Ray. Good. Eyebrows on fleek. I'm in the yellow on the audio. Things are looking good. Had an Easter weekend. I went to Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Had a crawfish boil with some friends. And I know, right?
Nice.
Yeah. Had a couple 100 pounds of crawfish. How are you doing? Talk to me.
I'm good. I feel bad for my poor Amazon delivery guy. You remember when we talked about getting the DJI mics, or we talked about getting the Rode wireless mics,
Yes.
or even, yeah, exactly, or even the Anchorwork new mics, or the Hollyland mics.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's okay. Here's my Insta360. I'm going to be doing an unboxing for in technical deficit. But you know what you can't get on Amazon anymore?
Tell me.
Remember the Flipper Zero I sent you?
No, I don't remember.
So,
It's it all the time.
So Amazon's banning it, saying it's a card skimming device. Sergio Gatlan, always coming out with the heavy hitters on Bleepy Computer. He said they banned it from Amazon sale because it can be used as a card skimming device, despite the fact that it's not actually capable of skimming cards.
Well, I'm not skimming this card.
Well, so here's the thing, though. When you skim the card, most of these credit cards have security chips in them. So they're rotating, just like TOTP would do. They're rotating the actual data. So you can skim the card, but without the hash or without, knowing the algorithm they use, you're SOL. You can't really use it. So it's interesting. It seems to me that Amazon's making decisions based on headlines, not based on facts. Even though they sell a lot of other wireless accessories that you can use to pull from the air and, decrypt data and all that other fun stuff. They sell taps without a question. They absolutely sell phone butt sets so you can tap into analog lines. I don't know why they're drawing the line here, which is ironic since, they own the Washington Post. So
man, I went to dinner with Jason Slagle, and we're sitting there, and I said, "Oh my gosh, Ray just sent me over the Flipper One," and he's like, "Oh, it's cool. What firmware are you using?" And I said, "Well, just a stock firmware." And he goes, "Is that all?" And I was like, "What do you mean? Is that all?" And he goes, "Oh man, there's some firmware that you can use to do some really nasty things." That may be what I'm saying is Amazon is banning Jason Slagle of the world from using this particular tool.
But to be fair, and I it is burned in my brain. I don't remember if it was IT Nation 2019 or 2018, sitting down at dinner or sitting out for drinks with Jason Slagle, Chris, John, Kyle Hanselvin, the original founders of Huntress back when they were tiny. And the nerd conversation going on with gear I owned, but I did not know how to make it do the things they were doing. I don't know, but I don't know how I feel about Amazon being babysitter either, because they sell you screwdrivers, they sell you balloons, you can pop open a window, just stick in you can do it with a whoopee cushion.
Why would you just say now that people are going to ban our podcast because you just told them how to do this?
You know what they would never ban? Our news. Let's go over to that before we get in trouble.
Let's get into the news.
In my first story in security, ambient computing is coming. Security teams may not be ready. Written by Shay Levi for VentureBeat.com. Ambient computing, a connected network of devices that could automate tasks in homes and workplaces, is expected to be a reality in the next 5 to 10 years. However, as smart devices become more interconnected, a new door for potential security opens. APIs, which connect every digital device, pose a particular risk as they create a potential entry point for hackers to exploit. Smart devices collect sensitive data about daily routines, such as sleep patterns, work schedules, raising questions about privacy and security. With the number of APIs being created and the volume of information they're transacting, it's impossible to scale security teams to keep up. Strengthening API security is crucial to prevent unauthorized access to sensitive data, and automation will play a vital role in keeping APIs secure as ambient computing becomes more widespread. As we welcome more technology into our lives, including the predicted $537 billion global smart home market by 2030, it's vital to strengthen API security to protect against the possible negative implications. Tony, our refrigerator and our toasters are talking. They may want to take over the house. Um, I know you VLAN and I VLAN, and we both understand VLAN is not security. But does this worry you? I mean,
Okay, so let's talk about this for a moment. So just to be clear, for the we'll call them the geeks and the pedestrians. From the pedestrian perspective, VLAN are saying, "Hey, listen, here is the LAN, local area network. This is the lane that you're allowed to be in for certain type of traffic." So I have 5 types of VLANs. I have my here's my general network inside. So if you log in one of the computers, the desktops, for example, this is on my normal LAN. I have my Internet of Things, meaning my thermostats, my refrigerator, right? All the little things, the little Roomba, everything walking around the house. It's only allowed to do things in this lane, and it's only allowed to talk to the outside world at this level of a throughput. My internet or my security system is on its own VLAN, but it can only talk to one particular server that's on its own network, and then my network architecture, the servers, the switches, etc. So, and then my guest VLAN. So my point is 5 different VLANs. For the geeks out there, VLANs are just a way to organize your drawers. It doesn't mean that things are going to be like it's saying, hey, put things in certain areas. What you need to do is you need to start from like an ACL perspective, start to say, hey, certain things cannot go in other drawers. They cannot be in other parts of that drawer. It's not security. It's a way to organize things. Everything is now talking all the time, and it can talk to everyone else. I like it to be in its own drawer, in its own little section, but security is paramount. And we have not scratched the surface with how everything is now talking to, frankly, everything else. And that is terrifying to me. So, Ray, unpack this from your perspective, because of anything out there, and I'm just going to throw this out there. We've all heard of the was it the LOL cord? What is that? The LOL cord, the charging cord. Is that what it's called? I can't remember. Where you plug it into your iPhone, boom, it has complete control, and it's actually baked into the actual
I remember
USB
what you're
device
talking about,
itself.
the USB cable. Yeah.
Yes, you plug it in,
Yeah.
and boom, I've got control of your cord, because the firmware is actually embedded in a chip inside the USB connection.
I think you're talking about the boogeyman. That's
well, this
No,
is
but
the fuel of my nightmare. So, but why can't that be the case on these devices, these Internet of Things devices that are now just talking randomly on your home network to everything else? So that's my perspective. Right.
well, and you're blocking for one kind of problem, right? You're blocking devices on the network talking to other devices on the network they shouldn't be talking to. That doesn't solve for the fact that your Roomba is taking not pictures, because that model they destroyed immediately because it had a ton of like horrible feedback. But it's absolutely doing LiDAR scans of your house, and it has all the schematics of your house of like the way it's laid out, and that it absolutely is sending back through the internet. It's not talking to your router, or it's not talking to your TV, it's not talking to your kids, but it is going out to somebody else. And I think that's something I don't know how we can solve for yet, because you can't block that communication without severely neutering the thing that you bought it to do those things to begin with, right? And I think it's going to get to the point where we have to be more judicious, channel our inner Ron Swanson, right? Where we don't have to have everything internet connected. I really do like my fridge being able to order like frozen bananas whenever we're out from Trader Joe's, but but do we really need to, right? I don't know what that answer is. I'd love to hear from the Discord people or from the comments on YouTube. Like, go ahead and, put it on Discord and let us know what's going on, how you feel. How are you protecting from this? Because I can't think of a single way to do it. Can you, Tony?
I just think hardware is it's really it's designed, it's purpose built to just talk. And that new level of hardware that we're all sinking into all the other components that we use every single day is now going to create an entirely new, not just lifestyle and level of convenience, but also a whole new opening for security issues that we have to address.
But that's okay, because your next story says hardware is going to be the answer to everything, right?
Yeah, something like that. Coming in from venturebeat.com, the article is actually discussing how the rise of artificial intelligence, machine learning, and other data-intensive applications are pushing the limits of the traditional CPU-based systems. As a result, there's a growing need for specialized hardware, such as GPUs, FPGAs, and ASICs, that's application-specific integrated circuits, that can handle specific types of workloads with efficiency. The article also explores how the development of new types of hardware is being driven by advances in software. As developers create new algorithms and applications that require more processing power, hardware manufacturers are responding by developing specialized chips that can run these workloads more efficiently, specifically for data collection, talking to machines, and automation. In addition to specialized hardware, the article also highlights the growing importance of edge computing, which involves processing data closer to the source to reduce latency and improve performance. This is driving the development of new types of hardware, such as edge servers and Internet of Things devices that are designed to handle data processing and analysis at the edge of the network. Overall, the article makes the case that a new kind of hardware will play a critical role in meeting the processing demands of modern applications that talk to each other all the time that we just reviewed in the previous story. As software continues to advance, hardware manufacturers will keep pace by developing new and innovative solutions that can handle these new and unique applications. Ray, we literally just got done talking about the applications all talking to each other all the time. And then I say, yeah, we need new hardware to handle the new applications.
But we don't want them to talk to each other.
No, but we don't want them to talk to each other. Stop talking to each other. Stop it right now.
What do? You can't win. You can't win. If they talk to each other, you have better user experience, better quality of life until your credit cards get stolen. And if you block them talking to each other, you have to actually get out of bed to adjust the thermostat at 3 a.m. because it's too hot. Like, I don't know how to win this battle. I do love my sleep though, so Nest may always win. I'm just saying.
So let's think about this for a second, just for everyone out there that is not understanding what we've all heard of Internet of Things, and that's great. But you have a Nest thermostat in some capacity. You probably have a was it the meter that detects not ozone, but the carbon monoxide
CO2 meter. Yeah.
Yep, CO2 meter. You've got a Roomba or an iRobot or the
Yep.
RoboVac, whatever that may be. You have your TV. You may have a TiVo. You probably have an audio receiver in some capacity. You have alarm clocks that connect to your remote network for not just necessarily radio internet connections, but also the time to check the timestamp. These are devices that have to connect to your Wi-Fi network. I'm not even talking about your Android devices, your iPhones, iPads, your smartwatches. I'm not talking about all the small things that require an internet connection for just a moment. They're all able to do massive damage. So what we're talking about now is not just the small component, but the massive amount of computing power that you have from different locations, controlling them all, but they're all now talking in a way that is becoming less and less efficient. And that's why more hardware is going to be a better hardware for specific types of communications. But just think of the volume of communications that's occurring. Ray, your house, I think it gives me anxiety thinking about all of the internet connected things. Is it just white noise? Is that what they sound like? And they're just
So
screaming?
I want to talk about a different kind of security. Matt Fox, can you do me a favor and order security to my house? Tony is obviously looking into my house right now as he was calling out each of those things. I feel attacked and
I have
triggered.
a full 3 securities on the way to your house, 2 days or less.
I was worried he was going to say 3CX security. So, but yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. And you missed my home automation with my light switches and my doorknobs and the cameras and the ring lights or the ring cameras. Uh, you know, you're absolutely right though. And yes, the idea is that technology, hardware, and I think we're getting very close to breaking Moore's law already, where it's not relevant anymore because we've passed it, or we're getting to the point where it's not possible. I don't know. I'm not a hardware engineer. I just report the news, but I know one of those are probably true. But the truth of the matter is, like, as we get more demanding things, whatchamacallit, and yes, rest in peace. I forget Mr. Moore's first name for Moore's Law. But as we do these things, like we're talking in the Discord, we were talking last week. Somebody wanted to know the best way, what hardware was required to install GPT on their local computer, so that they could train a local model and do it for their own purposes. ChatGPT just came out like 7 months ago, 6 months ago. We were just talking about this. It didn't exist. I mean, if you ever said, I want to take IBM Watson's probably the closest analog to this. If you ever said, I want to take IBM Watson and
Put
install
on
it
my
on my home
laptop.
computer, right, or my laptop, nobody in a million years would be like, yeah, that's going to happen, right? That's not reasonable. But now, I mean, we have Phil Buck, our host of AI Roundup. He's going to be doing a technical deficit episode on installing stable diffusion locally, so you can make your own AI images like Midjourney and others do. We probably will do one to install GPT for all on your local
Amazing.
computer and see what you can accomplish with that. It is amazing, and hardware needs to get better and better, and it's terrifying. You know what I mean?
Well, the combination of the hardware and software that is going to improve the communications across the board, and then not knowing where the communications go, as you referred to in the previous story. And Tesla was also just busted about sharing videos from car accidents and people inside their car, in their garage, without them knowing. The iRobot or the Roomba hacks that you referred to as well. This is absolutely terrifying, and this is going to get worse because now the hardware is going to make it easier for the software to talk to each other. So I think security is going to be critical for everyone. But the last thing you want is for someone to hack your password, and that's never done. Thank goodness that's never done, Ray. That's never done, right?
Yeah, and when you have perfect software and perfect hardware, you'll get perfect security. Maybe, probably not. Sorry, Tony. Our third top security story: studies show how fast AI can crack your passwords, and a few tips on how to protect yourself. Written by Michael Potuk for 9to5mac.com. A new study has revealed just how powerful the latest generative AI is at cracking passwords. According to the study by Home Security Heroes, the new password cracker PassGAN, PassGAN, was able to compromise 51% of all common passwords in under 1 minute, with 71% of passwords cracked in less than a day. The reason for AI's success is its ability to autonomously learn the distribution of real passwords from actual password leaks. To protect against AI password cracking, experts recommend using passwords with at least 12 characters or more, with upper and lowercase letters, numbers, and symbols. Passwords with 18 characters that include both letters and numbers were found to be safe from AI cracking for now. Dun dun dun. I added that part. It's always a good idea to conduct a password audit to ensure you're using strong passwords, multi-factor authentication, and avoiding password reuse across accounts. It's also good practice to use auto-generated passwords when possible, update passwords regularly, and refrain from using public Wi-Fi for sensitive accounts. Tony, the one that I got there, the one that kind of piqued my interest there, was the regularly rotating your passwords. That used to be a recommendation from SANS, and then they took it away, or I'm sorry, from NIST, and then they took it away, citing more complex, longer passwords are better than rotating passwords, and
Yep.
obviously preventing password reuse. where do you stand on that? Where do you stand on the password rotation policy thing?
I have an extremely strong opinion of this, and the good news, it's backed by what's that called? Oh yeah, factually, statistically relevant data. So that being said, having passwords rotated every 60 days, and I've heard even 30 days, um, does two things very specifically. The first thing's just the overall theme is it reduces the security of the password in general. You're saying how does how does that happen? The first things first, people tend to enumerate a password because they cannot remember a different password every single time. So they add a 3, a 4, a 5, a 6, a date after it. It becomes extraordinarily predictable because they just don't have the capacity to remember passwords when they're continually changing. So that's the first thing. The second thing, which means that if you can figure out something in that equation, the rest of it is pretty simple to find out. The second thing is people tend to store them in a very old school, let me write it under my keyboard, let me from a very simple way of remembering something and accessing it. Remember, you can have security or simplicity, can't really have both. They tend to store them very simple, very conveniently, which makes them less secure. So there are what I consider to be very, very simple processes when it comes to security. If you're talking about passwords, the complexity is incredibly important. Use a password manager, have it auto generate, insert special characters, not 1, 2, or 3, but 4, 5, or 6 in there just randomly. There's nothing stopping you from creating a 16 to 20 digit random generated password. There's no reason if you have a password manager. It is unfortunate and inconvenient when you have to type it in to log in for the first time somewhere. Boo hoo. But after that, it's probably in some capacity going to be able to authenticate from that point forward. But rotating a password is brutal unless it's automated. If you can have it from a network admin perspective, automate the passwords, which should never be known to anyone, in addition to a password rotation policy, which should be seamless to everyone. That is the single most powerful way to go, as long as you're using OAuth or some type of single point of authentication. I could go on and on about this, but at the end of the day, please, please, please find a password manager. Use 1Password, use Bitwarden, use whatever password manager makes sense to you, and use the auto generate password process.
So Matt Fox wants to make sure that we make a very important public service announcement. Much like LastPass, Chrome password storage is not a password manager. I say that tongue in cheek, but if you're using LastPass today, that's completely on you. No, and there's really no excuse, right? I mean, most of the password managers are free for personal use. Some of the MSP platforms, and we're agnostic when it comes to this. I use 1Password manager. I'm sure Tony uses a different one. It doesn't matter as long as you use one. But a lot of the MSP programs have where if you have your corporate account, you can also have a free personal account with a separate password store. LastPass did this. Keeper does this. I know there's others that do this. We were doing our yearly evaluation for password managers, and we use Keeper today. I've used LastPass and RoboForm and others before, but as we were doing our yearly review, not because Keeper's doing anything wrong, but we found like a bunch of ones we had never heard of before. And even like NordVPN has a password manager called NordPass, which is actually pretty good. Um, and I mean, it's a security vendor. Bitwarden we trialed, they can be on premises or hosted. We tried a few other ones, but universally they all had some free version for personal. So there's really no reason not to use it. Disable Chrome extension password management. Disable all browser password management, period. Please on your work computers at minimum, and use a password manager. It's not complicated, unless you get that one website that's like you have to have a 12 character exactly password and there's 6 like special characters you cannot use. That's a whole other animal altogether. But yeah, tell us your favorite password manager. Let us know in the comments. Let us know on Discord. But Tony, right now, I think it's time for our notables, huh?
And in my first notable mention from bleepingcomputer.com, Apple has released security updates fixing 2 zero-day vulnerabilities in its iOS and macOS and watchOS software that were reportedly being actively exploited in the wild. The vulnerabilities, tracked as CVE 2021-30665 and CVE 2021-30663, were discovered by researchers from Google's Project Zero and are said to have been used to target iPhone and Mac users. The first vulnerability, CVE 2021-30665, is a memory corruption issue in Apple's WebKit browser engine that can be exploited via a malicious web page. The second vulnerability, CVE 2021-30663, is a privilege escalation vulnerability in macOS XNU kernel that can allow an attacker to run arbitrary code with kernel-level privileges. Apple has advised all users to update their devices to the latest software versions as soon as possible to protect against these vulnerabilities. The company has also stated that it's aware of the reports that these vulnerabilities have been actively exploited in the wild and encourages users to remain vigilant and report any suspicious activity to Apple. And in my next notable mention from bleepingcomputer.com, Microsoft's Windows 10 version 21H2, which was released in October 2021, is set to reach the end of service in June 2023. This means that users will no longer receive security updates or technical support for this version of Windows 10 after this date. Microsoft recommends that users upgrade to a newer version of Windows 10 to continue receiving updates and support.
In my first notable mention, Rackspace hosted Exchange Security Incident Update, posted on Rackspace.com. In an email dated April 4th, 2023 to its customers, Rackspace Technology announced that it has completed its forensic investigation into the ransomware incident that affected its hosted Exchange email environment in December 2022. In the email, CEO Amar Melatira thanked customers for their support during the incident and announced that Rackspace would be transparent and forthcoming about the incident's root cause, a previously unknown security exploit. Incidentally, Rackspace also announced that they will be shuttering their hosted Exchange platform and it will not return to customers going forward. They are urged to move on to their hosted Microsoft 365 platform. In my second notable mention, Microsoft Outlook mobile users will soon get a bunch of new features, written by Joe Rogan for mspoweruser.com. Microsoft is set to roll out new features for its Outlook mobile app on Android and iOS platforms. The new features to its Outlook mobile app on Android and iOS include vernacular voice compose, video unfurl and playback, and the ability to capture and unload videos from the Outlook app on Android. Also, Microsoft Outlook mobile app will soon offer the ability to tap on a video link to open a thumbnail preview of the video. This new feature will allow users to quickly preview and play videos in an in-app player on full screen. These features are expected to roll out in the coming months, but rollout dates are subject to change if it faces issues while working on them. And in today's resource of the week, 15 useful ChatGPT prompts for startups, written by Richard Bagley for fastcompany.com. Although artificial intelligence can't run an entire business yet, AI tools like ChatGPT are getting close. Startups can benefit from AI tools like ChatGPT, which can streamline tasks like writing a business plan, creating slogans, researching competitors, at finding a domain name, and even practicing for media interviews. The link below will share some of the most useful prompts to get yourself started using ChatGPT for business.
There are plenty of amazing upcoming events taking place across the community, so let's see what's happening this week. From today through the 14th, there's an in-person event, TMT Bootcamp in Nashville, Tennessee. On the 12th at noon, we have Build It Better MSP discussion group presented by Everything MSP. And on the 13th at 1 p.m. Eastern, we have Lunch and Learn, Cyberhoot, presented by Gradient MSP. And coming from MSP Media Network this week, we have on the 12th at 10 a.m. Eastern, AI Roundup Episode 6. On the 13th at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, we have the Tech Bar Podcast Episode 56 featuring Travis Mayo of Nano Geeks. And of course, every Tuesday and Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern, MSP Dispatch presented by the MSP Media Network.
Hey, I'm Powerhouse Ray.
And I'm Super Cousin Danny.
And we're the hosts of
The Tech Bar.
Pull up a stool with us every other Thursday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern for drinks, jokes, and games with your friends in the MSP channel. So how'd you like today's show? If you liked it, hit the thumbs up button. If you didn't, go and hit it 3 times. And if you want to hear more, go and hit that subscribe button on the YouTube or your favorite podcatcher. Did you know we also have a Discord where we post stories all week? You can propose your own stories and even vote on which ones we'll cover. As my friend Rich Banky says, make sure to tell a friend. Also, be sure to follow us on social media at MSP Media TV. Have questions? Email news@mspmedia.tv for answers on the next episode, or leave us a voicemail, 833 MSP Network. Tony, I can't describe how important our Discord server is. That Rackspace notable about them shuttering their hosted exchange services, that actually came from one of our viewers, from Dustin Bolander of Clear Guidance.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. You know one thing Dustin doesn't have though?
What?
Flipper 1.
Flipper
Doesn't
0?
have one. Or a Flipper 0. He probably has a
You
Flipper
can
1.
get it
I
from
got a Flipper
Amazon.
0.
I mean, and if Amazon can't be trusted to protect us, who can be?
But here's the thing. I'm sitting here in Amazon's eyes. I'm stealing information from a present that Ray Orsini got me, just for the record. I'm sitting here stealing information, and then people in our Discord are providing information. Do you understand?
That's like a nice circle of life. That's
balancing each other out.
Yeah. Someone give me a lion so I can hold it up to the with that, I think it was a pretty good show. Tony, it's fun as always starting off my week with you, man. I appreciate you. I hope you have a phenomenal rest of your week.
You too, brother. Hey, you all take care. Happy Easter, belated to everyone out there and all that fun stuff.
That works.
Be safe.
Take care of yourselves and each other. Bye.
This has been a broadcast of the MSP Media Network.
Customers can find the further details on the incident scope, and that's not what I wanted to say. I'm sorry. In my top sorry,
21 is set to release. I'm going to get this one next time. Here we go.